A virus jumps from animals to humans somewhere in South Asia. At first, it looks small. A few patients. A few strange symptoms. Some local panic. Then headlines appear. Governments react. Scientists rush in. And suddenly the world remembers a terrifying fact most people prefer to forget. The next global outbreak may not begin in a giant laboratory. It may begin in a quiet village beside a fruit tree. That's the uncomfortable story behind Nipah virus. Not the movie version. The real version. And the real version is strange enough already. Because unlike many viruses that spread aggressively but kill less people, Nipah virus infection is frightening for the opposite reason. Its death rate can be extremely high. Sometimes between 40% and 75% depending on the outbreak and healthcare response. Think about that for a second. Modern society panicked during COVID-19, a virus with a far lower fatality rate. Now imagine a virus that spreads through close contact and carries a dramatically higher risk. Suddenly this stops sounding like a local health issue and starts sounding like a global warning signal. The story officially began in 1998 in Malaysia. Pig farmers started noticing something unusual. Animals behaving strangely. Workers getting sick. Cases rising rapidly. At first, authorities suspected Japanese encephalitis. Reasonable guess. Wrong answer. Eventually researchers identified something new. A previously unknown virus. And the name came from a village called Nipah. That's how Nipah virus entered global medical history. But the strange part wasn't only the virus itself. It was where it likely came from. Fruit bats. Specifically flying foxes. Which sounds almost fictional until you realize these animals exist across large parts of Asia and carry multiple dangerous viruses without appearing sick themselves. Nature can be deeply unfair like that. A bat carries a virus peacefully. A human catches the same virus and entire health systems start shaking. In some outbreaks, infected animals acted as a bridge between wildlife and humans. In others, human-to-human transmission became the bigger concern. And this is where modern civilization creates hidden risk. Population density. Global travel. Urban expansion. Humans constantly moving deeper into wildlife habitats. The more humans overlap with animal ecosystems, the more opportunities viruses get to experiment. Most experiments fail. One eventually succeeds. That's the uncomfortable math behind many zoonotic diseases. And here's the irony. Expanding farms. Larger cities. Faster transportation networks. Global food systems. Every efficiency creates new biological pathways. Nature notices every shortcut humans build. Meanwhile, outbreaks linked to Nipah virus disease have appeared in countries including Bangladesh and India over the years. Some outbreaks remained limited. Others triggered major fear because of the virus's high mortality rate. And unlike Hollywood outbreaks, real epidemics are usually confusing. Symptoms may begin with fever, headache, fatigue. Ordinary symptoms. Easy to ignore. But in severe cases, the infection can affect the brain and respiratory system. That uncertainty creates another problem. Fear spreads faster than verified information. Rumors explode online. Conspiracy theories appear instantly. People start forwarding miracle cures through social media like humanity learned absolutely nothing from previous pandemics. A dangerous virus arrives, and somehow the internet decides garlic water and random voice messages are stronger than medical science. Human behavior during crises is endlessly fascinating and slightly terrifying. But behind the panic lies a deeper issue most people never think about. Economics. Because outbreaks don't only damage health systems, they damage trust. Trade slows. Travel drops. Businesses lose customers. Local industries collapse temporarily. Healthcare costs surge. Governments redirect emergency funds. And poorer regions often suffer the most because healthcare resources are already limited before the outbreak even begins. This creates a brutal cycle. The places most vulnerable to outbreaks are often the least financially equipped to absorb them. And that's why scientists monitor emerging infectious diseases so aggressively now. Not because every outbreak becomes a global catastrophe, but because ignoring early warnings can become catastrophically expensive later. By the early 2020s, the world became far more sensitive to outbreak news after coronavirus pandemic trauma. Suddenly, even small clusters of dangerous infections triggered international attention. Some people called that overreaction. Others called it survival instinct. Both arguments exist for a reason. Because modern society now lives in a strange reality. A local virus outbreak anywhere on Earth can potentially become an international economic issue within weeks. And that changes.
The unsettling part about Nipah virus outbreaks is not only the virus itself. It's the uncertainty. Scientists still study how transmission patterns may change under different conditions. Researchers continue monitoring mutations carefully. Health agencies track outbreaks aggressively because the world understands something now that it often ignored before 2020. Early containment matters a lot. Because viruses operate on timing. If containment happens early, outbreaks stay small. If systems react slowly, the math changes fast. And the math is always the scariest part. One infection becomes 3. 3 become 10. 10 become hundreds. Exponential growth always looks harmless in the beginning. That's why humans repeatedly underestimate it. Our brains evolved to understand straight lines, not explosive curves. Meanwhile, healthcare workers dealing with Nipah virus symptoms face enormous pressure. Isolation procedures, contact tracing, protective equipment, public fear, media attention, limited treatment options. And unlike many diseases people hear about casually online, there is currently no widely available specific antiviral cure approved exclusively for Nipah virus infection. Treatment mainly focuses on supportive care, which sounds calm when written in medical language. But in practice, it means doctors are often trying to help the body survive while science races against time. That uncertainty changes public psychology immediately. Because humans fear invisible threats they cannot fully control. Especially after recent pandemic memories. But here's where things become even more complicated. The internet economy now amplifies outbreak anxiety globally in real time. One suspicious case trends online. News channels compete for attention. Social platforms reward emotional reactions. Suddenly, a localized health event can create worldwide fear before scientists even confirm all the facts. Fear itself becomes an industry. Clicks increase. Views increase. Ad revenue increases. Which creates a strange modern incentive system where panic can become profitable. And that makes responsible communication extremely important. Because exaggerated fear creates chaos. But ignoring legitimate risk creates disaster. Public health communication now walks a very narrow line between those two dangers. At the same time, pharmaceutical companies and global health organizations continue researching vaccines and treatments connected to Nipah virus research. Scientists understand that preparation is cheaper than catastrophe. Usually, the problem is political attention often disappears once outbreaks fade from headlines. Emergency funding rises during fear, then falls during calm periods. Humanity repeatedly treats prevention like an optional subscription service, until reality sends another invoice. And this raises a bigger question about the future. Why are outbreaks appearing more frequently worldwide? Part of the answer may involve environmental pressure, deforestation, climate shifts, expanding urbanization, wildlife disruption, increased human movement across regions. When ecosystems become unstable, viruses gain new opportunities. And modern civilization is incredibly connected now. A traveler can cross continents faster than some diseases show symptoms. That single fact changed global health forever. Still, there's an important distinction many people misunderstand. Monitoring viruses like Nipah virus does not mean global catastrophe is guaranteed. Most outbreaks are contained. Many never spread widely. Scientists are far more prepared today than decades ago. But preparation only works if governments, healthcare systems, researchers, and the public respond rationally instead of emotionally. Which may be the hardest challenge of all. Because humans are excellent at ignoring slow risks, until they become immediate. And viruses quietly exploit that habit again and again. So the real question may not be whether the next dangerous outbreak will happen. History